Morning.
This is the AM show, sponsored by Waylead Properties, and we are live in all 16 regions on the JoyNews channel, around the world on myjoyonline.com, on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. We are live on X Spaces, Facebook, and on YouTube. Get interactive with us. This is a news review segment. But before we start, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Then Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such investment. Now, Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit. And you want to invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. And we provide quality housing at affordable cost with flexible payment options. At Waylead Properties, we also provide you 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay a memorable one. Why don't you give us a call now? Call this number 0240-111-119 or 0504-499-999. You can also visit our website on www.waylead.org. This morning, the news review segment, our guest joining us in studio is Amanda Akoko Clinton. She's head of Chambers Clinton Consultancy, as well as Wanda Madilo from the NDC communications team. Lady and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How's your weekend, Amanda?
Good.
Good?
Very relaxing.
Yeah. You look good. Oh, yeah. Very relaxing, too. Wanda?
Yeah, a bit stressful.
Oh.
Funeral here.
Yeah.
Work there. It's been, but so far so good.
That's the life of big men, you know. You have to go to the funeral, go to... But let's start from you. What will be your reflection for us briefly before we get into the newspapers? What do you want to talk about this morning?
Well, I'm personally excited that the news we heard sometime in February 9th of some fake currency in the system that was busted. They are getting to unravel, you know, the syndicates behind the fake currency stuff. And I'm excited for Richard Jakpa for his moves. You know, sometimes you don't appreciate people enough. Because of the things we have heard about them before. But I think that he's doing a very wonderful job, and we must commend him and give him all the necessary support to go on this tangent. And I know that he's very mindful of the law and the requirements in that respect. So all said and done, it will be important for all of us to appreciate what he's doing. So that very soon
some commentary coming in suggests that he's just pained because of the treatment he got during that trial, and so he's ready to rain hell on his opponents, those who, so to speak, put him in that situation.
I really don't think so, because we have laws in this country. Even if Jakpa is peeved, which is normal for anybody to be hurt by the way you were treated, I sincerely still think that he holds this country dear to heart. This is a man who wanted to be in the military or was in the military and served his tenure until the issues and all that. So he means well at every turn of the way, and we need to give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. In any case, he's not prosecuting anybody. He is only doing his investigations. When he does uncover some crime, it will be the business of the government at the time, or the Attorney General's department, with the police in order to take this up to the law court. So I don't think there's nothing untoward. There's nothing to be worried about. He is on course, and we will support him and pray with him that he succeeds on this course. Of course, people may not be comfortable, especially if you have dealt with him wrongly in the past. But indeed, all said and done, it will come back to the issue of governance and our laws.
Right. Thank you. Amanda, what caught your eye? I mean, there's so many stories flying around, that was flying around over the weekend. Which one caught your eye? What are you going to reflect on this morning?
There's a lot of stories flying around, but I think my focus is slightly more international, since it's going to affect Ghana.
Okay. Tariff wars?
Yeah, tariff wars by Wednesday, 10%, you know what I mean? And it's going to be a tough one. But I think, you know, it's also an opportunity for Ghana and other African nations to come together. Very much like it's being suggested, China, Japan, and South Korea are going to have a united front in how they're going to respond to this. And we cannot forget that, you know, Africa has the most resources, arguably, out of any continent. And so it might be a wonderful opportunity for us to come together and respond to this. and to remember Kwame Nkrumah's words, which is, we have the blessing of the wealth of our vast resources, the power of our talents, and the potentialities of our people. And in terms of Trump's policy of America first, yes, the wording could have been better, but I think, America is having a US budget deficit, that passes $1 trillion. So there's a lot of reasons behind why there is this America first. So we can't necessarily judge them for saying America first. What we have to do is perhaps come together as Africans and ensure we respond well to this trade war, as Asia is just about to do.
At the end of the day, it's their country.
It's their country.
Yeah, they choose who to support, who not to support. It's interesting that people are actually pouring in the streets, protesting anti-Trump, saying that they're not, some of the policies don't sit well with them. And the other interesting thing is that the African Continental Free Trade Area, they have started putting their heads together to see how they can also step in and save the situation, because, of course, we cannot, the way things are going, we cannot rely on America and foreign aid.
And to accelerate our own economic trajectory.
Yeah.
It is up to us. Nobody helps you but yourself. So I think it's time that Africa did that.
Life is individual. Salvation is individual. Nobody's coming to save us. And it's a good time to introduce Alfred Thompson into the conversation. Alfred is from the NPP Communications Directorate. Alfred, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
I nearly put you to the NDC side. Would that be so bad? Sorry. Okay, so let's get into reflections and then the newspapers.
I'm worried about the loud silence of government over the $500 million worth cocaine scandal that has been going on for almost 2 months now. And we don't know what the real story is, because we are getting different stories. And when it's brought up, the government spokesperson told us that they are not interested, because it's quite worrisome that within a matter of 3 months, or let's say, 3 months, Ghana will be named a cocaine hub, where we have about $150 million worth of cocaine coming from Takrady, from a former candidate of the NDC, and nothing has been done. And another $350 million worth of cocaine, which was caught at Pedu Junction in Cape Coast, my hometown. And it's worrying that nothing has been done.
We have evidence to support these claims, because I haven't heard of that yet.
You haven't heard of the $500 million worth of cocaine?
No, that's
flying over. You haven't heard the $350 million worth of cocaine at Pedu Junction? The truck that was intercepted, you haven't heard of that?
It's not a crime if I haven't. I'm just saying that you haven't.
No, it's not a crime, but I'm shocked that, this is all over and you haven't heard about it.
Okay.
The truck was intercepted, and it's worrying.
And it's coming from the NDC, an NDC member?
The second one is not, I'm not saying it's from the NDC, but the first one, the $150 million one, is from one Payan, that's his nickname, one Hagan, that was arrested.
No, but for me, as being a lawyer, one thing we look at when we analyze things like this is, if there is an interception, that means government agencies are working together to intercept national security, etc. So if there is, quote unquote, a big cover-up, you would not see absolutely all officers intercepting such a raid and then confiscating it and then uncovering it and looking for the ringleader as we speak.
My dear
sort
Clinton,
of thing.
Just take it easy. I'm saying that over 2 months, nothing has been heard. And it's worrisome.
Yes, but
that 2 months you've arrested and we are not even getting any leads or any updates.
Yes, but
it's a problem. It's a big problem, and we have to say it.
I do take exception to Ghana being labeled a cocaine coast.
I said it's getting to the stage.
These labels affect not only NDC, NPP, but
it's affecting the country, and that is why I'm worried.
And when it comes to
I'm worried because it's affecting their country.
Yes, but when it comes to investigations at that level, even for $10 million, etc., it does take time to uncover, unravel, trace the people. Some might be inside the country, some might be out of the country. And national security intercepted. If this was a massive government cover-up, there would not have been an interception. There would not have been a notification.
Who says so?
Well, because it would have been...
I get your point. It means that the fact that this is the public domain means that government is actually working to stop it.
Public domain. You can just show something and just keep quiet.
Oh, come on, please, stop this.
Do you know government can just show something and keep quiet?
Let me ask.
Do you know even in government domain, sometimes they throw certain names that, oh, this person is going to get this, just to listen to the public's response.
I think the point Amanda is making is that,
we have, what do you call it, gold and cash. That was caught over 2 months as well at Sapeman. Up to now, nothing has been said about it.
Look at this.
Up to now, nothing has been said about it.
I thought the Sapeman issue is a recent issue where they found Bank of Ghana notes, counterfeit and all that.
When did it become counterfeit? When did it become? We have sat in this country.
The story is on the front page of the Daily Graphic.
We have sat in this country.
Hold on.
We have sat in this country.
Which bust? I'm giving you the details.
I didn't say which bust. I said which counterfeit. Because we sat in this country where cocaine has been taken to cells and has become Gogonde. We've seen it not once, not twice. So it's worrisome when you come to the point where there's a raid. Then next day we start hearing in the head that,
okay, so
some
are counterfeits. Mr. Thompson, this is what I think. We can speak to the issues
that is the issue
and when they come. But to sit on national television and label the country as a cocaine hub because of these, pockets of issues of drug busts that are occurring recently, or as you say, 3 months and there's no updates. I don't think it's fair to
I'm saying that you don't want
because
Ghana
that's
to become
tarnishing our identity as a nation.
I am saying and I insist that we don't want Ghana to become a cocaine hub.
Point made. Let's move on.
I insist on that.
That you do not want that.
We do not want this country to become a cocaine hub.
That's your opinion. It's okay. We can move on. Wonder briefly and then we can.
Alfred, I think that when you come on this show, you need to begin to exercise some respect for our viewers.
Are you trying to say what you are saying, you are disrespecting me.
No,
if you want to make your point, make your point. But please don't disrespect me.
Even
I think it's below the
front page of Daily Graphic, which is right in front of you, is talking about the same Sapema issue. And you say there's a cover-up. You talk about Ghana being a cocaine hub. You, under your tenure, this is a government whose parliamentary candidate, not a candidate, a parliamentarian, was caught and jailed.
Where is he now?
We didn't label Ghana as a cocaine hub.
Okay,
because
and then you
was jailed. He was jailed.
Read before you come to
He was jailed.
Alfred,
so don't go below the belt.
Let's moderate this.
Go below the belt. Don't go below the belt.
Don't do this.
We cannot do that.
You just said that we should have respect for our audience. So let's do that. Okay, Mr. Thompson, you said that. Wonder, hold on.
What is business about this? What is business about this?
Alfred, you said that if he says you should be respectful to our audience, he's disrespecting you. But what we are doing right now is not respectful to our audience. So let's have a conversation. Can we have a conversation? Wonder. Let's have a conversation. I want to start with the newspapers now. And gentlemen, I must repeat that we should be respectful to our audience. They don't tune in to watch us fight. Okay, the news center is where I want to start. CDS urges Mahama to reject petitions against EC bosses. Afenyo-Markin rallies NPP for 2028 comeback. Assemble smartphones in Ghana to boost digitalization drive, according to NTN CEO. And jail locals deport the foreigners. Mahama's controversial anti-galamsey policy sparks outrage. And this is a conversation that I think we should start from, on whether or not deporting these foreigners is the best call in our quest to eradicate this galamsey menace completely from the country. There's the argument that when you deport these foreigners, they'll just go and rebrand and come back rather than jail them. I mean, we tried it. Aisha One is a case that we can call, for evidence. First, we deport this person. She comes back. We try to prosecute, and it never really goes well. Amanda, let me start with you. We'll let the gentleman calm down for a bit for me. Yeah, do you think that we should be jailing locals and deporting foreigners? This is the strategy that they're proposing to solve the galamsey menace.
Yes, I mean, I think that, we don't want foreigners wasting space in our in our jails. And
already congested jails.
Yes, already congested jails. It's a massive deterrent. And, the foreigners who engage in galamsey, they are the brains behind the operation whilst they are on the ground. And so deporting them will send a clear message to their other team members, etc., that you will be deported. And I do think locals should be jailed, but as I've said on this show before, we also have to be conserve, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To conserve the land and plant more trees and find alternative jobs, etc. And it does seem like a bit of a dream, but believe me, if people are doing this because they need money, then we really do have to form like other streams of income. And even like carbon offsetting, for instance, is a massive thing. It's $1 billion business. It's going to be even more by 2030.
Right.
And so carbon offsetting, we have to attract those people who want carbon offsetting in Ghana, and that will create like thousands and thousands of jobs. It will create like, you know, millions of trees being planted and help our water bodies, etc. So yes, jail time is good for locals, but also what is the long-term strategy from the government? Is it to conserve? Is it to attract foreign aid through, you know, carbon offsetting? And we can get a lot of money from that. So we have to think a bit more strategically about this, not just jail time and exportation.
Well, the Interior Minister is saying that we don't want to waste state resources on jailing foreigners. So we deport you, go out, and your country will deal with you. I mean, it also serves as a deterrent that you cannot come into the country, into Ghana, and come and involve yourself in galamsey because you will be thrown out. But Alfred, what do you think about this?
I think
good strategy? Does it meet us at the point of our needs?
It's worrying because you've already stated we've had situations where we've deported one or two of them and they came back through other means. And the first thing to do is to prosecute them. Then we've signed treaty with other countries where we can now do prisoner exchange. Yeah. But once you are, prosecuted, and we know that you are serving a jail term, if you come here and you try it again, then it means it's going to be a more serious approach that should be taken. And so I believe that we should look at it, especially foreigners who are taking over these galamsey sites. Because quite recently, I remember I mentioned here that I was shocked to hear that people from other nationals around us are now the ones protecting the forest bodies. And it's becoming a problem where nine forests were taken over by these people. And even a forest, a personnel from the Forestry Commission was cut and hit seriously. So it becomes worrying when you hear that foreigners come into this country and they do what they like, because we have laws. And when you are traveling to any country, they tell you that when you go there, you abide by the laws of the country. So I believe that anybody too who is coming here should abide by our laws.
Right.
There are certain businesses, there are certain jobs you can't go into. And galamsey should be one. It should be pointed out to them that no one can go into galamsey without the proper and necessary approvals.
Okay, Wanda.
So I think that the minister's commentary has been taken out of context.
Okay.
I've heard people, especially the opposition NPP, say that this is an insult, it's bad and all that. But that's not what the idea was. In fact, in 2019, when Aisha was sent back, we all complained. She came back again and all that. What the NDC is talking about, or what the government is talking about, is very simple. There are people who have entered this country on the pretext of coming to do, say, let's say, I mean, in your visa applications, you tell us that you are going to do something about media or IT or whatever. Then you show up in Ghana and we find you at your galamsey site. The presence at a galamsey site is not a crime until you are engaged in the proper crime. Mm-hmm. So for such a person that is arrested in a galamsey area, what evidence am I taking to court to prosecute you?
So what are you doing there?
Good. The question is, what are you doing there? What are you doing there is not a crime in our laws. I don't know if you get my point.
Yes, sure.
So there are cases that are obvious crimes which will be prosecuted. But where the person is just found in an area you shouldn't be, these are minor things, and they may not even fly in court. You may not even get a conviction. So the best thing is send those people back home. However, if a native is doing the same thing and is also against the law, the person would go to court. And if a native is doing the same thing and it's not a crime, the native may not be prosecuted. So there are cases you prosecute on hard evidence because you need to prove that I was actually engaged in that galamsey illegal business in order for
you left one thing out. You're saying that if they find you as a foreigner, they find you at a galamsey site doing nothing, they deport you. What if they actually find evidence to? Of course,
you'll be prosecuted. Oh no, that's not.
So I think that's where the argument is. That when you find a foreigner involved in galamsey and you deport the person, it comes across as if that law doesn't have teeth.
Exactly.
Just throwing the person out.
Exactly. So the idea is not to, send foreigners packing just because we didn't find anything. When we find something, you will be prosecuted. If we don't, what are you going to be prosecuting the person for? There are many people who have been deported out of this country, not because of galamsey. They were in the wrong business. For instance, if you come to Ghana as a foreigner and we find you in Katamanto selling in a shop, doing retail business, it's a crime. You will be sent packing. Okay. So indeed, the minister, I know that this week he will try to correct the impression that is put out there as though we don't want to prosecute anybody.
Hopefully he can bring that clarity.
And it's not the policy of the government as it were. Our policy is very clear. On page 73 of our manifesto, we have stated clearly what we want to do with galamsey. 1, establish courts to deal with the galamsey, specialized courts to deal with galamsey menace. 2, we said that livelihood support and empowerment. 3, we said reclaim the land, reforestation, get the forest back on course. 5, we said protect and recover the lands that were, the forests that were lost to the galamseyers and all that. And then to provide security. So we have an elaborate plan in place for galamsey menace.
All except the declaration of a state of emergency, I see.
Well, the state of emergency is being considered. When you declare a state of emergency, it comes with an economic cost. And these are things that obviously the president is being briefed about. And I'm sure that at the appropriate time, some of these things will be.
Let's move on. I'm interested in that clash at Afenyo-Markin. And should I say the influx or purification of arms in the country? 4 killed in violent clash at Afenyo-Markin. And I'll add the story of a pregnant woman killed, 2 injured at Kukpaugu shooting. So the first one, a violent confrontation between youth from Afenyo-Markin and Ntoso in the Ashanti region has left 4 people dead following a chaotic clash during a funeral on Saturday. And according to eyewitnesses' accounts, the incident occurred when a group of young men from Ntoso attended a funeral at Afenyo-Markin, and tensions reportedly flared between the two groups over an as-yet undisclosed issue, resulting in heated arguments that quickly spiraled out of control. The second one, a pregnant woman has been killed and 2 others injured in a shooting incident at Kukpaugu in the Tatale Sanguli district, raising fresh concerns over rising insecurity in the area. And the victims were returning from a prayer session when unknown gunmen opened fire on them. This issue is becoming terrible. Everyone now owns, not everyone literally, but it's very easy to access guns with little or no regulations, and it's an issue that we really have to take notice of. I want to add one more story and then I'll come to you, gentlemen. And lady, Amanda, forgive me. CDS urges Mahama to reject petitions against EC bosses. Now, the Center for Democratic and Socio-Economic Development has petitioned President John Dramani Mahama to reject recent calls for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Jean Mensah, and 3 of her colleagues. And the CDS warns that acting on such petitions would set a dangerous political precedent and further threaten the independence of Ghana's electoral body. So let me start with you, Amanda. The CDS asking Mahama to reject petitions against the EC boss. How does this news come to you?
Well, I think first and foremost, it would have to go on the strength of the petitions, because the petitions are always based on the Constitution and what the Constitution says in terms of how a person can be removed. But I do agree, as someone who also studied African politics, I do accept that, it goes far beyond just this role in terms of it shouldn't be done lightly that an EC chair or a chief justice should be removed, because it would set a precedent that any future president that comes in and particularly has a distaste for the way that CJ or, EC chairperson behaved could utilize the legislation and, work with people to remove them. But first and foremost, I think every petition is based on its strength. And secondly, it's based on the people who are going to decide. They have to realize that they have the absolute responsibility of ensuring that in future, it should never be said that they just created such a slippery slope that it meant that every future person in that position could be removed. So I think it is cautious words and it is really good words, but again, it is always based on the strength of the petition.
I think the concern is that we might be setting some dangerous cycle because in 2017 it happened, and if we let this one also go so easily, the next government will come in and they also decide that, well, it's easy to remove an electoral commissioner or a chief justice, so let's do that. Gentlemen, let me start with you, Wanda.
Well, they are appealing to the president. Mm-hmm. Our laws, unfortunately...
There are petitions, and CDS is appealing to the president to reject those petitions or those calls to remove the
Well,
EC.
it is not in the power of the president to reject any petitions. The president, as it were, is just a conveyor belt, empowered by the Constitution to do what is needful. You see, we should not be encouraging systems where our laws are put aside based on discretion or indiscretion. If the law says a petition of that nature must go to a certain body, it is the same law that empowers that body to investigate, find guilty or otherwise. So I am not given to some of these theatrics. I think it is more to water down whatever it is. If the lady has indeed committed a breach of her mandate, what do we do?
But the long-term effect or impact
of
removing her so easily.
So now, and I'm not saying that she's done anything wrong. So now, if we find a public official who breaches the law and should be punished for a certain offense, we should say that because it happened in the past, we shouldn't do it. I don't know what is in the petition. It would rather be the interest of this democracy hub to say that, well, let's know the content of the petitions. Let's see the weight of it. Let it not be a cover-up. That, for me, will make a lot of sense as a law student. But to sit down and say that somebody has petitioned the president and say, don't do what is constitutionally mandated, block the petitions and all that, I think it's a recipe for disaster. When other things are being blocked, what are you going to say? So we need a more transparent and open governance system where people get to know some of these things. For instance, when the Chief Justice case came, she asked to see the content of the petition, and she was given. For me, that is beautiful. And the same has happened with this one. If she wants to see, or others wants to see, and they got to that stage where the Constitution allows them to see the petition, fair enough. But to gag the president and say, reject the petition.
I don't think they're gagging the president. They're just, calling on him that the fundamental principle of the Electoral Commission being independent. He said these people are saying that should outweigh or political interference. If you set that precedent, every time a new government, new administration takes over, their own people are going to write petitions and say the Chief Justice has done so and so, so remove him or her, and that they're saying is a dangerous precedent that we're setting, and that's the long-term impact.
There's a thin line between a moral right or wrong and the law. For you to say that it happened in the past, we don't want it to happen. Are you suggesting that what the Akufo-Addo did in the past by removing the EC boss was illegal?
Let's hear
if
from
indeed it was illegal, then we can proceed on this course.
Okay, Alfred, what do you say?
You see, when you're on political stage, some of our utterances, you should guard them. Don't think that because you're on a stage, you can say certain things and walk away freely. And is it CDS, eh?
Yeah.
CDM.
CDS.
Oh, CDM. Okay, CDM. CDS is doing is that they can appeal. But it's up to the person who stated that he's not comfortable with the Chief Justice and whoever it is to decide whether he wants to listen to the appeal or not. It's up to the person. Once you're on stage and you stated categorically that you are going to change certain people, when you come out and you are doing it, it's no surprise to Ghanaians. It's no surprise. But can the status quo continue? Are we going to do this under every new president who comes? I always believe that you should be able to even work with your enemy and keep your enemy closer in such a way that your enemy will not be able to do certain things. If you don't like someone, check on the person. Do checkmate every time.
Even if the operations or activities or inactions of that person has dire effects on the democracy of the country.
Like what? Is it
well, if the Electoral Commission, has committed a crime or has done something that requires us to probe and determine whether she remains in office or is removed, that's a just cause, is it not?
Every human being, and I repeat, every human being will definitely make mistakes. But is the mistake so dire that we need to change the person?
This is the Electoral Commission.
I'm coming.
The sole body responsible.
The president doesn't he make mistakes?
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's a human being.
So
everybody.
So we
mistakes.
should pardon
I'm not saying
mistakes
that. Listen,
if
I'll
these mistakes.
I will sit here and tell you that everything we did during our time is 100% perfect or correct. It will not happen.
Right.
So in that same instance, I'm saying that if it is critical that whatever the person has done is a dire circumstance, then we can look into it. But you get so many people bringing petitions every now and then. Are we going to continue to say, once they are bringing petitions, let's go ahead and do it? Sometimes you also sit down and reason.
Oh, but that's why we have committees who probe, determine a prima facie case and all that. There are processes to it.
You know, sometimes even at the president's table, it ends there. Because he also has to look, at the substance of the case before they even look at and send it for the prima facie case on it.
Right.
Okay.
Let's make progress. Amanda, let's get into your paper. Oh, you have some comments I saw you writing?
Oh, yes. It's just an additional comment that, you know, I do appreciate what you've said as well, because, you know, it has to be evidence, you know, not just rumor, not speculative. And we have to respect the role and what it means. It really is not about that individual. You know, she literally sits there. She's a chair for a reason, because it is what she's occupying. And it is what she's occupying that we have to protect. That it remains a position of integrity, and it remains a position that you cannot just remove such a person at will, just like we cannot remove the president at will, even under impeachment circumstances. It would have to be so grave. So it's true. Evidence, not speculative, not rumor, and perhaps, you know, come from people who've directly been affected by her, etc. Okay. I think it's a good precedent to set.
Okay, let's get into the Daily Graphic.
In terms of Daily Graphic, I thought I'd just read out the three headlines I want to just focus on, and then we go into it. The first one is BOG, Bank of Ghana, money boxes found at crime scene, national security operation. The next headline that caught my eye is Trump's tariffs end world as we know it, and that's the UK Prime Minister. And the third headline is the government spokesperson dismisses drug claims over Kia aircraft landing. I think those are three main ones.
Can we start from the aircraft bit and work our way to the Bank of Ghana money boxes?
Sure. In terms of the Kia landing, I think we're all well versed that there were two planes, one an air ambulance and another a private jet that landed in Ghana, and a NPP MP sort of charged the order that you know, Ghana is becoming a cocaine coast, etc., etc. But again, he's not just saying things that are political. He's potentially tarnishing our name in terms of internationally. So
I wouldn't use the word tarnish.
No, but in terms of you must have evidence.
Because, I mean, international organizations have weighed in on the conversation, saying the government should take this seriously. So it's not yet the point where we use that adjective, I think. Yes,
but again, you know, I always follow the evidence, and the evidence that have been released that I saw over the weekend is a lot of pictures showing engineers fixing damaged tires on the landing gear of AirMed aircraft at the Kotoka International Airport. The damaged parts and engineers were brought in by a different aircraft, hence the 5-day delay. You know, these are the sort of videos we should be replaying. I think Ghana Web went into these videos in detail, quite a lot of them.
In fact, the government spokesperson, Felix Kwashifosu himself, released some of these videos and footages. Although he did release one that people are saying doesn't look like it's coming from Ghana. And when you zoom in, the flight number is different from the one that is under question.
Yeah.
And so these are some discrepancies that, point to some misinformation out there, but we don't know for sure who's telling the truth yet.
Yes, of course. And in the article in Daily Graphic, it says, for instance, that national security has been called to act as a matter of urgency and make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash transported into the country by the 2 suspicious flights. So again, we are grateful that these videos and these images have come out. If members of the NPP are saying it's falsified, look at that license plate, or look at that plate and look at this, then it is something for inquiry and something that I think the president invited the MP who said this to work alongside national security and provide all the evidence he wants. And I think he declined the offer. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, another controversy. He said he wasn't even invited. Felix Washifu said he was invited and he declined. It goes on and on.
But the investigative agencies, and our agencies do work, because I work with them quite a lot sometimes, is the Narcotics Control Commission, the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, and the National Investigation Bureau, and the National Security Coordinator should collaborate fully with the MP for this probing matter. So again, it is NPP, NDC, but these are the agencies who have been mandated to lead this in terms of evidence and to get to the bottom of it, because one way or the other, if Ghana is engaged in this, it will stop because this will be highlighted. And if it's not, then people should stop using the term cocaine coast, because it means when all of us travel, you know,
that's the identity.
This is the connotation which we don't want.
Right.
Thing.
Alfred.
On my paper?
No, on that. Briefly, and then we get into your paper.
I fully support the fact that the cocaine coast, we should be careful about it, because, seriously speaking, if within a short month all these are going on and we don't hear, and with cocaine, if you don't come out very clearly, it becomes a problem. The other worrying one is, you see, fake gold, currency bust, BOG money boxes found at crime scene.
That's what I was trying to tell you in the beginning,
yes,
and you didn't want to hear me out.
I have worked with a bank. BOG boxes cannot just go out. They cannot just go out. It either moves to a bank, and when they go, they take their boxes back. So for the boxes to now go to a crime scene, and the content within, some few days later, we are told that it's fake currency. We have to be careful. We seriously have to be careful as a nation. And if you are not careful, and we are going to think that, oh, because an NPP person said it, or because this guy is partisan, so I am not even going to delve into the issues and make sure that we go into it, into details, this country will suffer for it.
Well, I know you want to say something, but I think we jumped the gun. Amanda wanted to do the story before
yes, so
reflection.
The BOG money boxes, you know, it's quite a lot of boxes, 10 40-foot containers.
Yeah.
Authorities have since verified that those boxes labeled exclusive to the Bank of Ghana were not replicas, but genuine BOG properties. Journalists, during an exclusive tour of the supposed crime scene, that the national security was on the heels of the ringleader of the syndicate, and Mr. Jakpa said a manhunt was still underway to apprehend the alleged kingpin, and the operation also discovered a collection of fake gold bars, many of them already peeling to reveal a silver-colored metal. So perhaps this is because of the gold board, you know, to be falsifying things because government is centralizing the gold. And so I don't know what other people are trying to do.
Let me listen to
now. Thank you.
Wanda, please go ahead.
So again, this is where I think sometimes I get a bit worried. This story broke out. Alfred, this story broke out.
I know. Speak.
February 9.
They are listening to you.
So February 9. That's when the story broke out. And when the story broke out, it was about fake currencies being printed at a certain location.
Yeah.
And then the security operatives decided to go into business. Now, yesterday or over the weekend, they discovered that the crime scene the front of it was used as a battery charging place. And one Alhaji, we were told, was in charge of the operations.
Which Alhaji?
So behind the battery charging office or shop or whatever of the sort is where these things were discovered. And that Alhaji, I'm told, is on the run. Before the team went there, 2 containers had been moved out of the site. Now, don't forget, on February 9, when this story broke out, it was about investigation into an alleged money printing or fake currency printing and all that. Then, over the weekend, the operation discovered that at the scene where the monies are being printed is BOG-owned boxes, original boxes. So this is an unfolding story. And it's a story that we will all come to appreciate what it is. And to be quick to say that it is the current government, for me, is where the problem is. Because the number of containers that are there couldn't have happened just from January 7th to February 9th. It's unnecessary.
That's an argument.
To go there.
That's an argument you can't make, because the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. You cannot say that because you have only been in office for 3 months.
But that is what I'm telling you.
40-footer containers cannot possibly come from this.
And I'm saying that
we don't know that yet.
That is why I'm telling you that it makes no good
40-footer containers.
So that's why I'm saying that it makes no good argument to say that it is either the current government or the past government. Crime is crime, and that's what we're doing. So for you to quickly say, oh, it was found under us, and so it is this, it is that, for us is unnecessary.
We are asking for
asking for investigations into this matter. These are boxes that belong to BOG. It has been confirmed that they are original boxes. The security services say they suspect there's an insider handling or dealing in this matter. Why are we in a hurry? Why? Because we never knew this until the investigative body brought it out. So the patience to allow the investigative bodies to work is what the NPP must have. And then we can get to the
what we are saying is let us know what is
Richard Jakpa is saying that until he gets the kingpin, they cannot fully open those boxes.
Richard Jakpa said what?
Until they've got the kingpin, they cannot open the box.
What is even worrying is that 2 months down the line, all they tell us is Alhaji. There are 150 plus Alhajis in this country. By now, you should know that it's Alhaji Kose or Alhaji Amidou. We should know down the line. Oh, please.
Amanda, let's get into the tariff wars.
Yes, my last story in Daily Graphic is the British Prime Minister said that Trump's tariffs end world as we knew it. And that's Starmer. British Prime Minister Starmer says the introduction of sweeping global tariffs by the United States has created a new world governed by deals and alliances rather than rules. He also says that the world as we knew it has gone. Old assumptions can no longer be taken for granted. And this is in line with Trump's 10% baseline import tax on goods from around the world. And Starmer says that nobody wins from a trade war. But again, as I said at the beginning of the show, I think that, you know, as Asian countries such as China, Japan and South Korea are forming some sort of alliance, well, not fighting back, but just doing something for their own good and for their own benefit, we wouldn't be fighting against America if Africans came together. We have the most resources out of any continent on the planet. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to come together and to set our own terms and to trade in such a way that will benefit Africa, sort of thing. So, I mean, I really believe in that. And I also think it is not necessarily as America first, as America keeps saying. It is America first, but the US budget deficit surged in February 2025, passing 1 trillion. You know, so they're doing this for a reason. They're hitting their limits to a certain extent. And they're trying to find ways to look for money, hence Elon Musk and his whatever he's doing, and Dodge and this, etc. So they're doing it because they're trying to protect their interests, which is good because their nation grows in that way. In the same way, Ghana and the rest of the African countries must unite on trade, like Asia is uniting on trade, I think.
For me, I just think it's a wake-up call for AfTA, African Continental Free Trade Area. You know, we have the means, we have the resources. We just need to find a way to add value, and we'll be self-sufficient without always going cap in hand begging for arms. Alfred, let's get into your papers.
Just to add to what she's saying, Americans 10% tariff, Africans golden opportunity.
And they've named about 5 key places: increase in trade diversification, attraction of foreign investment, strengthen Africans' industrial base, and it goes on empowering African currency through the AFTA. Then reducing African dependency on the US and China. You see, this goes beyond the Ghana Beyond Aid. We need to strengthen ourselves. We need to build ourselves. The fact that someone said it doesn't mean we should leave it behind. Let us continue to take advantage of the situation. And this is where Ghana can become a strong force in Africa.
You know, many Ghanaians truly believe that Ghana could go beyond aid. There was a time when we all bought into that promise from the former president.
When the leaking basket is sealed, I'm telling you that we don't need aid from outside. When the leaking basket is sealed. Oh, yes.
So Ghana can go beyond aid.
We can stop even tomorrow.
So what happened? What happened under the NPP that we couldn't get?
You're not listening to what I'm saying, sweetie.
I am.
I said if we all become patriotic.
So it means that we didn't achieve it because we were not patriotic?
You're doing it and people will stampede you. It's not easy.
Leaking basket.
We have a leaking basket, yes. And we still have a leaking basket. It didn't start yesterday. And it hasn't stopped.
It's interesting that you said you used the phrase Ghana Beyond Aid, because we know that you promised us that you weren't able to deliver that. In fact, you took us back to the IMF. We are still in that program, right?
Even though we're
so when you say that,
to make sure that industrialization becomes the backbone for Ghana, because all we are looking was to make sure that most of the things we send, the raw materials we send, we try and transform them here so that it becomes finished products. And that is where you make more money out of these things. It's not a one-day thing. It's a building concern.
Right.
And that is what we have to look at.
So now, the question I'm asking, did your administration lay the Flint foundation for us to thrive on this Ghana Beyond Aid?
We started it, but we had the global economic crunch, which crippled us a bit.
COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war.
COVID-19, Russia, Ukraine, and also the global economic crunch. You know, there was a global economic crunch. Yes. And that especially crippled most nations. It crippled us. But that doesn't mean that we should end there. There's something that has been started. There's something that we can build upon. This is something that when we sit down and we work together, putting away all partisan relationships, we should be able to get to the destination we want to.
All right.
And one interesting story here, Kusag youth chase Mahama over worsening Boko conflict. And they are complaining about the death that's within, it says, Your Excellency the President, did you know that since your assumption of office as president, more than 18 people have been killed in this Boko conflict, including women and children? Is this what you want, Mr. President? They are telling him to fast track the Boko conflict because it's becoming a problem within their area. They are not able to do anything, and they are fighting helter-skelter. So we'll all call on the president that once you've done this as a campaign promise, we believe that you should quicken the steps in making sure that the conflict there is down.
Right. I remember that was one of the first things he did when he assumed office. He took a trip down there to speak to the leaders and try to bring some calmness to the place, but that hasn't worked yet, and here we are still.
The last story will be the great and famous Reverend John Intim Fojo, who is being gagged to make sure that...
What do you mean by gagged? Who's gagging him? He's been waxing lyrical about suspicions of drug trafficking and the rest. Oh, as we speak, it's still, you and I know that innocent until proven guilty. The same way, these are allegations until we have actually been proven that...
$500 million worth of cocaine.
Right.
In transit. It's not suspicion.
Yeah, but you said he's being gagged. Alfred, you said he's being gagged. How is he being gagged?
Immediately he brought this out. They told him that they are going to let the BNI, the NIB, all this thing. It's like trying to tell the guy that you either shut up or we take you in. And even a government spokesperson came to say that yes, we'll set an example if we need to.
Your interpretation of this is interesting, but let me hear one
instead of investigating it, because when the president came out to say that yes, he's interested in this, which we are all proud of, that the president himself has gained interest. The spokesperson said that no,
if I come and tell you, Alfred, that I saw your daughter somewhere in a very compromising situation.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you ask me to show you where exactly I saw
I'll
it?
ask my daughter.
Ah.
I'll ask her because I'm that close with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, you think that the president shouldn't have asked the same man who said that he's suspecting
the president himself
some
could have even invited
malfeasance.
Intim for Joe. That's Intim, come, let's talk.
Is the president the investigating body? He's asked the appropriate authorities to aid in the investigation.
What I'm saying is that he could have invited him and said, Intim, you know what? You are a member of parliament. You are even a government person. So I need you to help so that we make sure that we keep this.
And that's different from the statements we saw from the president.
Yeah. And what did Felix say about the statement?
Okay.
Felix
Wanda,
is saying
let's
that
do this
they are not
quickly.
interested in it.
So
He's come out.
Which one do you want me to talk about?
I haven't heard you yet on the tariff wars, and then we can get into your...
The tariff is a welcome war.
A welcome one.
If I was president of any country at this time, it's good time to do business. You see, what America is doing, and I've seen a lot of countries reacting. For instance, Canada
China,
says
35%.
Yeah, Canada says they will do 25 without any basis, and that's where they will fail. The young man called Donald Trump and his aides must have done some work to have come to a conclusion that, hey, listen, if we do this, we do that, we'll get our results. They are looking at their country, not your country. They are not bothered about what you think or what you feel. If you won't bring the goods to their country, they are not bothered. America doesn't rely so much on many countries for a lot of things, apart from services and labor, which they go to China to get cheaper. They can produce for their own market, and they have the market to meet the demands. They have a population of over 400 million people. They produce their own cars. They have aircraft. They have automobile. They have telephone, the IT base. They are able to collaborate with Israel to do all the things they do. They really do not need the whole world that much, if you ask me.
No, well,
now, we are the ones relying. Come again?
They do need natural resources.
Yeah.
And this
what
is the
natural resources are you talking about? They are willing to pay whatever you ask them to pay.
You just said they don't need us like that. I'm just giving you a point that they do
need them because beyond selling what you are selling to them, you are looking for aid from them. Do they need your aid?
That's how all of this started anyway.
That's what I'm saying. They don't need you. They don't need you. They can pay for anything they want. If America wants to buy Ghana's oil, they can come in, bring their money, buy the thing and go. You see, so sometimes it's the sovereignty of the state that is questioned in this matter. Canada says they will do 25. China says they will do 35 for no basis, and it's only because trade war. Period. What's the basis for your 35?
I like
have you considered how much you will need from the US and how much they need from you? So indeed, we need to get to and America has a lot of links with major countries that can provide their industries or service their industries. So they are not really looking at that. Look at some of the countries that they impose only 10%. You will observe that those countries that they have 10% on are countries that they rely so much on their resources. And then the ones they don't rely on, 35, 27, 30, and all that.
Why didn't they impose on Russia? Or why didn't they impose on Russia?
So, so we make progress. On the front page of, I hope this is not my last submission.
It is. We have 5 minutes to go.
Or if it is, let me say something before I say this. There's a youth summit in Ketu South. I will be speaking at the program. I encourage everybody to show up.
Invite us properly. Invite us properly and we'll come.
You must support the Hobo.
Okay. So agriculture is key for development.
When you finish speaking your local
what I said was that it's a youth summit. Yes. It's a development summit for Ketu South. Usually then we celebrate in them. It's done every year around Easter. This time around it will be on the 10th of April, which is Thursday or Friday. And I'll be there.
What are you speaking on?
Every year I speak to the development issues of the area.
Okay, so we have 4 minutes to go. Please, there's a story here that I think is... Wanda, what are you doing?
Agriculture is key for development.
Read it.
He says that
I'll read
the story she wants you to read. I was pushing another story you want.
Agriculture is key for development. Eric Opoku entreat Ghanaians. And I think that this is where Ghana should pay attention to. I've always advocated that when we were in secondary school, we had a hatchery and we had a poultry farm, at least precisely gone. And that fed our dining hall. Eggs, and then the meat. And then because they have a hatchery, other people come to buy. Other poultry farms come to buy to service their poultry farms. And that was less burden for government. And the schools are still there. almost all the big schools that we know, the renowned schools, they all have the kind of lands that are ready for both either crop farming or animal husbandry. We need to encourage some of these things so that we can lessen the burden of government expenditure.
Your point has been made. We need to go. Just the headlines and then we have to...
Gold Board mandate clear. Galamsey threat is terrorism to Ghana, and that's from Amabua, Kofi Amabua. The IGP says that police probe death of anti-galamsey officer that happened very recently. You have other ones.
No, we don't have to go into all of that.
You don't have to go. Interior Minister orders must...
Wanda had the Ghanaian publisher on the... Sorry, I have to do it. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Since why are you doing this? This is my paper.
Because these are headlines.
That's my paper.
So read it.
That's my paper.
What is it saying?
CDS urges Mahama to reject petitions against EC boss. Suspicious flight saga. NPP tightens news on Mahama, even though they will fail. CSO others demand full disclosure. NPP may never rise again. May never rise again.
The story actually says we will rise again, according to Afenyo-Markin. Rally's party faithful. Shame on you, Wanda.
Even on TV,
I didn't see I saw never.
I'll give you 1 minute each for your final words. I'll start with you, Alfred.
Yeah, I'll still come back to the situation of our vice president. We don't know updates on what is going on. We need to really know because...
Oh, we got updates over the weekend that she's well and that very soon she'll be returning to office.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, yeah. From Okujeto Ablakwa.
Okujeto.
Yeah, I saw a post
now
like that.
Now it's not from her spokesperson or the government, Mahama's spokesperson. Now it's from Okujeto.
They are government. They are in government.
I mean,
if her life and her health is an issue of government business, then it's okay. She's not in the country.
When the thing was coming out, what we heard was not from her spokesperson, but from the president's spokesperson, which we asked questions about it. Now, from government spokesperson, it's going to the foreign affairs minister. We need to really know how we are coordinating our affairs. It's all part of...
Alfred, is this really an issue?
Otherwise, we also start writing petitions.
Whoever updates us on the status...
The president should be removed because he doesn't know how to go according...
Well, that's your 1 minute.
But we wish her well. We wish her well, and we want her to come back as soon as possible so that...
that's what they say.
So that their enemies will not
put to shame.
Yes.
Great. Amanda, have a minute.
Yes, we do wish the Vice President a speedy recovery. And the updates are letting us know that, that recovery is well on its way. My major point is the major crime interceptions, be it foreign currency, fake gold, or alleged cocaine. We must as a nation, particularly the advocates within NDC and NPP, realize that it is evidence-led, and certain agencies, including just YOCO, FIC, National Intelligence, all these agencies are evidence-led. And it's very good that they let, as soon as it happened, I think either the same day or the next day, they let us know what happened. And then they're keeping us updated. And some of the parties are releasing videos which can be counted if something looks fake. But with such major operation, it does take time to not only trace people, but it's also a very high-level crime in terms of it's organized, it's multi-million-dollar, and it's layered. So you can't just keep on issuing statements in case you get the statement wrong. So as the evidence comes and we trust our agency to deliver that, let us not put out these labels that will not only tarnish Ghana, but will tarnish citizens as we travel individually, and then automatically some immigration person just thinks cocaine or whatever. We don't want that. The information is coming out. Multi-million-dollar crime operations are layered, and it takes time. And if it's every 2 weeks or something, give us credible information that can be counted if need be in terms of it looks a bit fake.
Amanda.
But that's my point.
You have the last
word. Is the gold
word.
also fake? I just want to know.
Last word, please.
No, I saw this interesting story, and I think that I want to tie it in on something. Skin disease outbreak hits Mepe Avetakpo hard, and this is a disease that is, ravaging young people in the community. We're told that they are demanding some 6,642 Ghana cedis before treatment is meted to those affected. In the past, not in the past, in a very developed country, when we had that Akusombo water outbreak, some teams should have been working around some of these outbreaks, because what you want to avoid is having a situation where some of these waters have swept into areas that are infected, and now we're having the effect. So the health service should quickly...
Thank you so much. We have to go. Those who join us for the news review this morning, Amanda Koko Clinton. She's head of Chambers Clinton Consultancy. Alfred Thompson is part of the NPP Communications Directorate, and Wanda Madilo is from the NDC Communications team. Thank you all so much for joining us for the news review. And Ghana, let's talk about water tanks before we go, because do you know the secret to real water storage? It's simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right, the tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong and durable and built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So whether rain or shine, Syntex tank has got your back. So go out right now, check out your tank, and if it doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. Call us on this number, 0244 335 168 to buy now or find one of over 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a strong, a tough. Please stay. Sports comes up next, and then we get into our big stories.